I would share Louis' story. As hard as it was, and I do not wish that night on anyone ever, because it was awful, I thought I would share it just to be part of his journey, and then you can see how his recovery's going and what I'm doing and stuff like that. Looking a little on the frazzled side because I am trying to graze the pony in between work. Luckily I only live 10 minutes away, so it's not too bad. But I thought I would fill you guys in on Louis and his epic drama is the only way I can describe it. Louis loves to do things and not by halves. Louis went into the vets on Wednesday evening and he had to have life-saving colic surgery. Now, I will tell you the story of the evening because it was quite dramatic. There are many caveats that I will pop in here and there, but we'll get the main body of the story out. Let's set the scene. Wednesday evening, or Wednesday, I was working in Swindon. So I was coming home from Swindon to the other side of Gloucester, so it's about an hour and a half drive. And I get a phone call from one of my friends. She's like, Louis is not right. And I was like, what do you mean Louis is not right? Mum had only turned them out 10 minutes previous to that, and she had said that he was eating fine, he'd had all his dinner fine, he'd gone out fine. I was like, what do you mean? So she sent me a couple of videos. Louis was not acting right. And then she video called me. I pulled over at the side of the road and she video called me. She said, this is what he's looking like now, and he was not comfortable. It was the weirdest thing. It looked like he was trying to pee but couldn't. It was really odd, and we were like, is he colicking? Is he tying up? Like, what are you doing? Ali stayed around, thankfully, to watch him a little bit longer. God. Went home quickly and got changed, and then I was going to come up, and she texted me whilst I was getting changed, and she was like, I'm going to get him out the field because he's so uncomfortable. So she got him out the field, started walking him around. Nala's come to see him. Started walking him around, and I quickly got changed and then came back up the yard. On the way to the yard, I phoned Bourton Vale Equine Vets, who are my vets, and it was obviously out of hours because Louis doesn't do things in the day. And I always have the same vet from Bourton Vale. I love him, he's absolutely fabulous. He's called Jeremy, he's got me through all Apollo's tendon issues, and he's fabulous. He's really straight talking. Ring Bourton Vale, and they're like, out of hours, the duty vet is, and I was like, please be Jeremy, please be Jeremy, please be Jeremy, please be Jeremy. And then it was like, Jeremy Swan. I was like, oh my god, this is good. Put the phone down to Bourton Vale, immediately ring Jeremy. He doesn't pick up. I'm like, oh my god, this is not going well. And then he texts me literally about 3 minutes later and was like, phone me back. So I phoned him back, and he was like, I didn't realise that I was on call. And I was like, oh right. And he said they had a last minute change, so it was a good thing you did ring me. And I was like, I've sent you some videos on WhatsApp. Please have a look at them. Louis is not right and I'm really worried. And he was like, okay, I'll have a look. So looked at my videos, And then he rang me back and he was like, he's got colic. And I was like, it looks really weird. And he was like, he's got colic. At this point, I hadn't seen him because I was still on my way to the yard. And he was like, give him 2 sachets of Butte, and 40 minutes later, give me a ring back and we'll see how he is. Got up the yard literally a few seconds later. Ali's still walking him, bless her. And we shoved 2 sachets of Butte, syringed 2 sachets of Butte down him. And it didn't touch the sides. Like, not even close. Absolutely nothing. He was just getting worse. 5 minutes after giving him the 2 sachets, I phoned Jeremy back. I was like, this is not working. He kept trying to sit down, like his whole back end was just wobbly, and it was like he was drunk. And his face, it was almost like he was stoned or something. He looked so like absolutely glazed over. He wasn't like taking in any surroundings or anything like that. He was so glazed over, which again is not like Louis, because he likes to be in everything and he likes everyone to be paying attention to him. Jeremy was like, okay, I'm coming out now, but he lives about 50 minutes away. I am walking this horse because every time I stop he tries to sit on the floor or nearly falls over with his back end. I must have been walking him for about an hour and a half by the time Jeremy actually arrived. And Jeremy's like really humorous all the time. He makes you feel really at ease, and he's always, even if it's quite serious, he'll never let on, or there's always a little bit of humour. So he comes, like he pulls up next to the green barn, gets out. He's like, what's going on here then? Looks at Louis Bear, and he's like, oh, he's in quite a bit of pain, isn't he? Just like observation. And then he injects him with painkiller and, well, I don't really know what. He injected him with 2 lots of stuff in hope to like relax him and calm him down, and one of which was painkiller. So he's injected him with 2 lots of stuff, and he's like, let's put him in a stable and just see what happens. So we put him in a stable, and I've never seen anything like it. Louis loves a roll, Louis loves a lie down, but he literally body slammed himself to the floor. And Jeremy's so calm and just like, it's okay, just let him see if he settles. At this point, obviously, I'm crying. My pride and joy is in so much pain, and I feel so helpless. And I think that's the worst part of it. We have these horses and we love them so much, and then when they can't tell us anything, or we can't tell them anything, you just feel so helpless. He's body slammed himself to the floor. He then starts thrashing around, absolutely thrashing around. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He's in so much pain. He's rolled over and got himself cast, and this was the point I was in like floods of tears. Louis's got himself cast before, and he's not a panicker when he gets himself cast. He just like pushes off and struggles a bit and then rolls himself back over. But he got himself cast, and then he just closed his eyes, let out a massive groan, almost like he'd given up. He's obviously very tired. And Jeremy was like, okay, just scratch down by his head. I'm in floods of tears at this point. Jeremy's like, okay, just sit by his head, give him a stroke. He gives him 2 more shots of, I don't know, painkiller and all sorts of stuff. Jeremy just said, let him lie there for a minute and we'll just see if he rolls himself back over and gets himself back up. So he laid there for a minute, and then he did roll himself back over. And Jeremy's like, okay, he was obviously sat on the floor at this point. Jeremy was like, let's get him up, and then I can do a rectal examination and see if there's anything blocking or anything that we should be worried about. He tries to get him up. Louis's like, no. He's like poking him, patting him, I'm pulling him, he's like shoving him. Takes a a good few minutes to get him off the floor. We've got him up. Finally managed to get him up. So Jeremy gives him 2 more shots. Where are you going? 2 more shots of painkiller, and I assume it's muscle relaxant, but to be fair, I was in such a state of stress and panic by this point. He could have given him sugar water and I wouldn't have known. But anyway. Do you want to be in under action? He's up. He's given him a rectal examination. He stands at the side of the stable, calm as you like. Michelle. I'm like, oh my god, yeah. He said, now, you know, if this was mine, I think I'd probably take him in. I'd take him in because then someone can monitor him all through the night. If he needs some medication, we can get him some medication, and he'll be able to be seen. Don't touch that. He'll be able to be seen immediately, like there's people on site. He said, so if it were me, I'd take him in. First caveat, Jeremy, I learnt, does not send anything into the vets unless it's like in dire need. So obviously this was a thing that I didn't know, which meant I didn't panic. But a couple of days later, I learned that he doesn't send anything in unless it's like dying, basically. Dramatic! So he said this, beautifully calm. And then I've gone, okay, let's take him in. Like, whatever needs to happen, needs to happen. There's another pony that wants in on the action. I've just come in to keep Louie Bear company because then Apollo can go out. So Smurf is one of Ali's. And Ali saved Louie's life. Little and large. The large is a pig. Don't be horrible to him. Yeah. No wonder you don't have any friends. God. No. We've decided that he's got to go in. The rectal examination actually showed nothing. So he was clear of blockages and everything was kind of functioning normally down there. Jeremy said to me, do you want him to take him to 3 counties or do you want to take him to Bourton Vale? And I said, I want to take him to Bourton Vale. I trust them, I know them, I like everyone there. They dealt with Apollo when he had his tendon operation and they were so good to me as well. They really, really looked after me. So Jeremy's like, okay, you do realise that Bourton Vale is 40 minutes further than 3 counties? And I was like, yes, I do realise this. And he's like, okay, that's fine. We can do whatever you want. That's fine. And I was like, okay. So he said, where's your lorry? And I said, round the corner. And he said, has it got fuel? And I said, yes. He said, well, bring it round and we'll pop him on and then we'll get you on your way. And I was like, okay. So go get my lorry, bring it round, park it outside the green barn. Pop the ramp down. Jeremy's got hold of Louie. Gives him... I don't even... Oh, with that Polo. Gives him... I don't even know what he gives him. He literally gave him enough whatever to literally knock out an elephant. So Louie was just about able to stand up and we literally manhandled him onto the lorry. So Jeremy had his back end, I had his front end, Mum was keeping him upright sideways. And got him on the lorry. I was like, should I go to 3 counties? Jeremy's like, no, if you want to go to Bourton Vale, go to Bourton Vale. That'll be fine. As I'm getting in the lorry myself, obviously Louie's already shut up by this point. As I'm getting in the lorry myself, he says to me, how fast does this thing go? And I was like, as fast as I drive it. And he said, drive like the wind. He said, if this horse starts moving, drive quicker. And I was like, oh my God. And it didn't really register to me then, but I'll caveat this later. Just going to do one of those caveat points. Jeremy asked me 3 times, I think it was in the end, if I wanted to take him to Bourton Vale or if I wanted to take him to 3 counties. Now, I didn't know at the time, but the reason for this is he didn't know whether this horse would have enough dope in him for me to get him to Bourton Vale without him like thrashing around the lorry. Head off to Bourton Vale, head down the M50. Jeremy's like, I think the quickest and easiest way to go is down the M50 and straight on. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Head down the M50. Off on our merry way. Not so merry. I don't think merry's the right word. Off on our way. Off on our way we go. Got sat nav on. Counting down the minutes. We got probably, actually, I don't know why I say probably. We got 11 minutes out and Louis starts like thrashing around the lorry basically. The whole lorry's moving and there's certain tricks you can do to keep a horse up, like concentrating on their legs and stuff. So I was accelerating, braking, weaving along the road, just like get us there, it will be fine. Yeah, time. I realise as well I'm always grazing when I'm doing this. We got told a couple of days later, if a horse has colic, then do not stop regardless. Obviously, again, I did not know this. And I did not know the extreme situation I was in because everyone had been so calm already. Me not stopping was the best thing I could have done because they said even if the horse goes down, there's nothing you can really do, just get it to the vets as quick as possible. Which is quite a scary thought, but thankfully Louis never went down. We get him there. As we turn into the driveway, I can see 3 vets at the end of the building, at the end of the stable block building. So Jeremy had phoned through and said, this horse is coming in, obviously. And then I literally, they've got automatic gates at Bourton Vale. So obviously after hours, the gates are automatically shut. Electric gates, sorry. So I just see one of the vets, Alid, bless him, he literally sprints down to the gate to type in the code and let me in. Caveat time. I seem to be doing 3 seasons in 1 grazing session. This is actually like over 3 different days. But anyway, I did not register how serious it would be for someone to be sprinting down to the gate to let us in. It just didn't even cross my mind. I was like, oh, they're in a hurry, you know. I just don't think I was processing. I was so worried about him that I was just like, oh, this must be normal for every horse that comes in. And I'd just like to point out that we got to the vets at about 10 to midnight. Maybe half 11, between half 11 and quarter to midnight, I think it was. So that would be why the electric gates were shut. Pull up. Unload him. Louis is so uncomfortable. Hi. Louis is so uncomfortable. He's kicking, thrashing, bouncing, whatever. Hi. And they give him more dope, painkiller. I don't know what it was. Obviously not paying attention to anything at this point. Pop him in a stable. They give him another rectal examination, which shows absolutely nothing. They've taken his bloods. Took the bloods, and normal bloods is supposed to be about 1, whatever they were testing. I'm not 100% sure what they were testing. I feel that I should have come into this with maybe a little more scientific knowledge, but either way, as I said before, I don't think I was processing much at this point in time. So Normal bloods are around the 1 mark. This is good, this is normal, this is average. So when they took Louis' bloods, he was actually at 0.9. So his bloods were really good, and technically he shouldn't have been in the pain that he was in. So therefore, like, it was a bit baffling to the vets. Now this did change a little bit later, after they'd like done a bit more. They did go up to nearly 2, which is one of the reasons why they decided to take him into surgery. They've given him some, obviously, more shots of painkiller and stuff. Then they got the they got the ultrasound out. Ultrasound his stomach to see if they could see any blockage or what was going on in there. Absolutely fine. Everything's fine. Why is this horse even in this much pain? They tried tubing him to see if it was gassy colic. They were like, maybe he's in this much pain because there's a massive air bubble in there or whatever. Tubed him. Pretty much nothing came out. There was a little bit of gas in there, but not much. Okay, great. He said there's one more thing we can try. So sometimes horses get their intestines wrapped around their spleens. So you can give them give them something to look at this. You right in there? You enjoying that? I'm literally itching his leg. Give them something to like contract their spleen to make it smaller, and then if you lunge them after that, it tends to dislodge the intestine. So Aled was like, we'll do that. You'll have to obviously leave him with us. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. He said, and I'll let you know how it goes. He said, but beware, because he might have to go into surgery. He said that this horse has had as much painkiller as we can give him. He literally cannot have any more. And I was like, oh God, okay. Aled's given me this information. He's like, leave him with us. We'll look after him, blah, blah, blah. This is, I think we left there maybe about 10, no, it must have been midnight. I think it must have been about midnight at this time. Louis still in so much pain. As we were about to walk out, he went down again, and Aled was trying to get him up with the other two ladies who were fab. And one of the scariest things, she was like, read this. One of the other girls, she was like, read this and sign if you want, if you don't mind him having anaesthetic if he has to go in for surgery. And there's like risk of death and all of this sort of stuff. So I was like reading through this, just not even in my own brain at all. Jeremy had phoned to see if I'd made it there. He then like had a little bit of a chat with Aled, and he was like, Michelle, just be aware that this horse may well go into surgery. And I was like, well, Aled said it's fine, his bloods are fine, like he shouldn't even have colic. Total denial. Total denial. I'm sure some of you will know the absolute awful time driving home with no horse in the back. Like, it's so, I have no other words, and I'm sorry I'm about to swear. Shit. There's no other, it's shit. So we got back to we got back to the yard about 1 a.m. and Apollo can see the gate. So I drive in the gate, and then he lets out the biggest whale. Hi, baby. You okay? He lets out the biggest wail of like, where is Louis? And I was just like, I am not emotionally stable enough for this right now. Which obviously set me off crying again. So get home about 1:15. Was it about 1:15? Get a phone call from Aled. That did not work. He said it worked for about 20 minutes and then he was in just as much pain as he was before. He said, if it's okay with you and if it was my horse, I'm going to call the surgeons and we need to take him into surgery. basically. So at 1:15, I'm like, okay, into surgery. Mum's like, right, go and try and get some sleep because you're no good to anyone, especially Louis, if you've not had some sleep. Good boy. Which, is easier said than done. So I fell asleep for about 40 minutes in the deepest sleep you can ever imagine. And then I woke up not knowing who I was, what year it was, what my name was. When you wake up from a nap and you shouldn't have had a nap and it's just awful. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Oh, you reaching in front of your leg. Sorry, did I not get that bit? I wouldn't that bit. All I could think of was I've missed the calls saying that Louis got through surgery. I've missed the calls saying Louis died. I was like, oh God, I don't even know. Luckily, missed no calls. That foot is very close to me, Lou. Fabulous. Try and get back to sleep. No, 20 minutes. Not happening. Then I must have dozed off for about 20 minutes and then I woke up again, wide awake, not happening. Must have dozed off for about another 10. Anyway, this went on until about 20 to 4 in the morning, and at that point I just gave up. I gave up trying to sleep. Oh, careful. Gave up trying to sleep, gave up trying to do anything. I just put my phone in front of me, flat on the bed, and stared at it. Literally waiting for a call. And then I got a call from Alid about 4:45. No, sorry, 5:45. I got a phone call from Alid. He said Louis had made it through the surgery. He got up and he was a lot happier than he was when we brought him in. And I was like, okay, well, that's good. Don't like scare us off, do you? Oh, Bean. You like that, do you? You'd like me to sit in your stable all day, wouldn't you? But I do have to go back to work. I'm sorry, darling. Oh my God. Can you see Louis Pepolo? Are you in the field without him? Oh, you do nothing for me feeling... Oh, my God. You're a bloody nightmare, you are. And it's now the finish of work and we're back out to grazing. So I guess at this point you probably all want to know, well, that's if you've listened to my story and have made it this far, you all want to know what actually colic Louis had. For this caveat, I am at home. I realise that I haven't been overly scientific in any of my explanations, mainly because I was not taking anything in and just wanted to get him home and was just so happy he was home. So I thought I'd actually say what kind of colic he has. And the reason you're now at this angle is because I'm reading it off the laptop so I don't get it wrong. So Louis had epiploic foramen entrapment colic, which consists of a passage of a section of bowel through the epiploic foramen. Pain results due to stretching of the obstructed bowel compromise, toxin leakage, and intestinal distension proximal to the obstruction. So basically, there's a tiny little hole that is, I think it's located just above the pancreas. I think it's just above the pancreas, and there's a little hole, and the intestine kind of moves about. I didn't know this, but the intestine moves about on everyday life, and there's a tiny little hole that sometimes it goes in, sometimes it comes out, but Louis went in and got trapped, and that is why it was causing him so much pain. Horses with epiploic foramen entrapment frequently exhibit acute onset and severe abdominal pain that is usually non-responsive to analgesia, which means he wasn't responsive to any of the painkiller.
which is why he had to go in for surgery.
When they sliced him open, apparently it like popped out the hole. Louis Bear got his intestines stuck in a hole. Nothing that he ate, no management changes. He was literally on the same bale, bale of hay, same bag of feed, same field, literally everything. So it's one of those that is not management related. It just is one of those things that happened to happen. It is pretty rare though, so don't anyone go panicking now. Just special horses like this one. Hey you there. Have it done to them. Back out on the same grazing patch. One thing I did forget to mention was after the surgery, he came back round and they were monitoring him, and then they said that he still had an impaction in his stomach, so the base of his stomach was impacted, which would be your like normal impaction colic. So he had to be starved, and they tried flushing it out, and it didn't want to move, and they scoped him and it was still there even after a day of flushing. When they phoned me up to give me an update on how he was doing that day, they said he was very hangry. He does like to get hangry, and they said that they were going to try one more thing that's like proven to get rid of impactions. They didn't tell me what it was. They just said they were going to do it once at that point and once at 10 o'clock in the evening, and then they were going to scope him again in the morning and see if it had worked, but it was proven to get rid of impactions. Anyway, I went and saw him for the first time the next day, and it had obviously done its job and got rid of the impaction, and I asked them what it was. So Louis, in order to get rid of his impaction, had 3 litres of Diet Coke, which apparently breaks down anything, which I thought was pretty scary. But yeah, so they shake it until it's flat, or however they flatten it. But yeah, and then they literally tube it in and it does its job. So be careful how much Diet Coke you drink, because it cleared his stomach right out. It's a good day. We've just picked Louis Bear up, so he has been discharged now and we are about to drive him home. So excited. Today has gone so slowly, but yeah, he's on board and we are ready to head home. Louis Bear is back home. He's back home, and I don't know if you can see Apollo. Apollo's waiting. Oh, I can't zoom in. Apollo's waiting for him over here. But yes, we finally made it home. So, how many days did we send? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and now it's Tuesday. So he is very happy. Got to bring the other boys in because Louis won't stay on the stable on his own. So if Louis is on box rest, unfortunately, they have to be in as well. But we're going to figure that out, hopefully, with Ali. She's going to help by bringing her horses in the day, so mine can go out at night. Apart from Louis Bear, he's not allowed anywhere because he has a big ass scar, or not even scar yet, it's just a big ass incision. Have you missed each other? You go. And the boy is home. What a relief. He got in, I don't think he's let down at the vets because they've got like paper or card bedding and not like masses of it. And he literally came straight in here, immediately rolled. So what's now, I hear you say? You probably didn't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Louis is on full box rest for a month because he obviously has a foot-long incision underneath his tum-tum. But it's looking really, really good. There's like no swelling. Oh, there's a tiny bit of... there's not really that much swelling. There's probably a little bit of swelling there and a tiny bit of swelling just under there. But it is literally a foot long all the way. Scar for the ladies, hey? It's got to stay in for a month in order for that to kind of heal and get to the point where it's not going to split open if he runs around and be a plonker, which sometimes he can be. After he's been reassessed again, so they'll come check him. I'll get Jeremy out, he'll come check him and see what he thinks and feels and how he's looking. So he will then go on a month of small paddock turnout, which, I mean, I wasn't looking forward to the box rest because he doesn't cope in the stable on his own very well. But we figured that one out, so Apollo doesn't have to stay on box rest with him. But the small paddock turnout, I hope he's not going to jump out, basically. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it because we've got 4 weeks to get through first. So, therefore, we will do one step at a time. But he's quite enjoying going out for his little grass. He will do that 3 times a day just to keep him sane, I guess. And then Jeremy come out, check him, and then we'll reassess what we're going to do at that point. And then he's got a month of small paddock turnout, and then I think, if I remember rightly from Mickey, I think he's then discharged technically from the vets and can possibly start being ridden again. So it's kind of worked out quite well season wise. I mean, I've missed a little bit at the end of the season, but he was possibly only going to 2 events anyway, so it's not the end of the world. And then obviously coming into winter, he would have been, or had a bit of an easier winter because he'd been competing all summer. And I can just slowly introduce work back into him, and hopefully if everything goes well and we stay on the track that we're on, then we can start eventing at the start of the event season next year, which will be a pretty emotional first event considering everything he's been through. So yeah, we'll keep you posted on how he's getting on in box rest and small field turnout. But thank you for watching if you made it this far, and I hope that you will follow our rehabilitation journey to hopefully get back out eventing in the 2023 season. Do you know what it is? It's because I said I was going to go to Monmouth and do a novice. He went, no, you're not. Nah.